Let's answer your questions.
I like to be educated.
I'm Dr. Lindsay Doe, clinical sexologist and host of this sex curious show, Sexplanations. I want to answer your questions. As I understand it, demisexuality means needing an emotional connection to want sexual engagement. Is that the same thing as when big brainy connections do it for you? Remember that the words we have are all made up by humans. We weren't handed a dictionary, this is it, all the words, unchangeable meanings. This includes sexual orientations. We piece together prefixes, suffixes, the root word, often Greek, Latin in the English language to describe the world and make more sense of it. Currently, demisexuality refers to sexual attraction after emotional connection is established. Sapiosexual is a term used to describe sexual attraction to one's intellect. So if you wanted Demi-sapio sexual, or this challenging to pronounce label, meaning I need intellectual stimulation to feel sexually aroused, or my sexual desire is activated by intellectual stimulation. Necesaria este sit mule telek. As a male, how do you care for a female partner if she has blacked out from an orgasm? La petite mort. La petite mort, or the little death, refers to the feelings of faintness after orgasm. A natural, euphoric, physical activity which can happen to and between any genders. Blacking out, however, could be the result of a medical condition like postcoital syncope, temporary loss of consciousness during or after sex. So you need to check to make sure the person is still breathing, that they're not asphyxiating, they can't breathe, that they're cold, wet, or overheating, not exposed to the elements, that they're safe. Then try to gently wake them. If they don't come to, call for emergency help. If they do, let them know that they blacked out and encourage them to stay lying down for 10 minutes. You can lift their feet to help with circulation if they're up for it. When they feel ready, suggest that they go to the bathroom with your assistance if they feel wobbly. Urinating after sex helps to prevent urinary tract infections for all genders. Was it because you choked them? Was it from an imbalance of oxygen and carbon dioxide brought on by fast, heavy breathing? Maybe it was the blood going from their brain to their groin during arousal. Deep penetration, or an unknown, in which case it's worth getting checked out by a medical professional. How about covering ways to gently dial down arousal or lust? What turns one person off could be the very thing that turns someone else on, so this is very personal. When you get aroused, observe the circumstances in your body and the environment. Identify what might be the source of the lust and then remove or alter that variable. For example, if food makes you feel alive and hot in the pants, eat foods that are bland in taste and appearance. Avoid food and drink that interests your senses, looks phallic or conic, and makes you feel satisfied and energized. Anti-masturbation advocates tried cornflakes and graham crackers to dampen erections. I get turned on by watching rom-coms, dancing, swimming, listening to intellectuals talk, and staying in places where there aren't neighbors. So if I want to minimize feeling sexual desire in my life, I watch comms without rom, sit a lot, dry out my skin, befriend dull people, and stay in bustling apartment complexes. Other libido-killing correlates: living with relatives, or for that matter, having and raising children. Think lifestyles that are physically and mentally exhausting. A strenuous job, friends who aren't supportive, a partner that isn't emotionally available, long, painful workouts, low self-image. I also feel less sexual when I'm dressed in dirty clothes and ungroomed. For me, bad smells, scratchy fabrics, repulsive music, horror movies, horror of the news, those are all total turnoffs. There are also more clinical methods to repress one's drive, including psychotherapy, breathing exercises, and conditioning. There are support groups like Sexaholics or Sex Addicts Anonymous, NoFap, and faith-based fellowship. One of the most common methods to get rid of unwanted lust is to think about unarousing images, the classic grandma eating peas. It punishes the arousal with a sort of electric shock. Similar conditioning, like straight-up lousy sex, reduces the desire for it. If I know I'm going to get unhygienic, back-breaking lizard thrusting without lubrication and orgasm, I don't want it, so I'm not going to get turned on. How does one get over the persistent fear of being a disappointment to potential partners? Fear is a complicated emotion. We don't always know the origin or the function. Sometimes it's not even rational, or more likely not what we think it's about. It sounds like being afraid to disappoint potential partners is really about wanting to know how to please them exactly the way they want from the start. If that's the case, asking them to be really forthcoming about their expectations and being really honest about your abilities is going to get you the best results. Everyone likes things a little or a lot differently than others, or even than themselves at different times. We also range wildly in what we think a new partner can pull off. Communicating is a pretty great way to get close to your goal. Now, if the fear persists even after you've done your best and gotten good reviews, the question might be more about trust than fear. Do you trust what your partner tells you? Do you trust that you're doing the best you can? Do you trust that it's not your job to meet another person's expectations? And certainly that people don't have to like how you perform, but that isn't a poor reflection of you. What is it about spring or spring-like weather? Or is it just me? Could it be evolution's way of increasing the odds that human babies are born in the winter? My friend Eric calls it the sundress hatch, when people in cold weather regions come out from their puffy coats and show skin. Maybe it seems like humans have a mating season, but as we know from birthdays happening all year long and scientific research, Homo sapiens are continuous breeders. The reason why is still under investigation, but it doesn't suggest an evolutionary agenda for winter-born babies. If anything, childbirth rates peaking in September suggest that we're more likely to mate in the fall as temperatures drop, which, by the way, is playfully called cuffing season, like handcuffs, because it's like people are putting the lockdown on their cuddle buddies to keep them warm. Stay curious. Thank you to all of you on patreon.com/sexplanations, my sexplanants, for making this channel possible, for giving this resource to others so that Sexplanations, so that sex education is accessible. I appreciate all of you, and I hope that we continue to stay curious together.